Hey there, Dr. Mel here. Welcome to our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, make sure you comment, like, subscribe, and hit the little bell because that is going to tell you that you got new videos to watch from yours truly, and making sure that you stay on top of all the health and healing strategies that we are constantly putting out to support you. So in this video, I am going to be discussing foam rolling, the basics of foam rolling. So now more than ever, our culture is very sedentary. Depending on when you're watching this video, right now as I record this, we're in the, what we're calling the pandemic of COVID-19. And so your routine and your work environment most likely has changed. You may be sitting more, you may be not moving as much. And so I found it to be super beneficial to make sure that you're moving your body and you're working out those muscles when it comes to just overall health and well-being. So what you're gonna need is a foam roller, okay? So these can be found on Amazon, they can be found at Target or your sports stores, things like that. Super easy. You can get a long one like this, which I really love. This is the dimensions. Or you can get a shorter one. I recommend a longer one because I feel like it gives you a little bit more sturdiness when you're doing the exercises. So a lot of people don't realize, but foam rolling can be really beneficial whether you're an athlete or not. Me, I find it super beneficial after I'm running, if I've had a long day in the office and I'm standing a lot, just to help work out some of those tight spots in my glutes specifically, in my hips, in my IT band, in my hip flexors. And you can actually even use this in your rib cage, in your shoulders. We're gonna start with the basics today though. So get yourself a foam roller. And what foam rolling really does is it helps start to loosen up the connective tissue in the fascia as far as that casing that surrounds the muscles. If you ever, if you're someone who eats meat and you buy meat and you see this casing or kind of this thin tissue surrounding the meat, that's what we're talking about, is the muscular fascia. And what can happen over time due to different stressors, different functional patterns or not functional patterns, is we can hold on to tension and bound energy in that system, in the fascial system. So foam rolling on top of, chiropractic care, movement, breath work really helps. Foam rolling can be a really great strategy to help loosen up some of those muscular tension points. So I'm going to show you a couple areas that I found and I have found to be super supportive for me, as well as what I educate people in the office. So what you can start with is doing some glute work, okay? So your glutes or your booty, right? Finding that area. Now, a lot of people think foam rolling is like you foam roll back and forth like this. And honestly, me doing this, I don't feel much at all, right? And that's where you get people say like, oh, I don't really necessarily think foam rolling works for me. Chances are they're not doing it right. The key is to find an area of tension, okay? So if I'm doing this on my glute, and I can even intensify it by crossing my leg, and I'm on my glute muscle, and I'm gonna find that area, right? The glute, the piriformis that sits underneath your glutes, and I'm gonna find that area of tension. So for me, it's like right there, okay? And as you can see, I'm putting a lot of my weight into it, okay? There's different foam rollers that you can get that have a little bit more pressure, a little bit less pressure. They're more foamy. You can find ones that have little spikes on it. I'm not a huge fan of those. Those can be pretty intense. So starting basic like this, some people use a lacrosse ball, some people use a tennis ball. You're gonna find what works for you. Now I'm sitting on this point and I'm just leaning into it. You can see I'm putting a lot of my weight into it, letting gravity do its work, and I'm breathing into that point. And I'm just slowly kind of working it out. You can see I'm not foam rolling like crazy. I'm not rolling back and forth, but I'm just slowly leaning into that point. And eventually, it can feel a little intense. You're just gonna kind of move around and feel that bound energy dissipate from that area, okay? Now the key is you wanna do both sides to balance it out, but doing this, anywhere from 5 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, taking a break from your desk. Again, our culture, we sit a lot. We're in a sitting posture so much, from your work desk to your car to your couch at home. So we gotta work out that energy in different ways. Think of it as like a massage for yourself, right? So that's starting to actually really release for me. That pressure point starting to release. Again, you wanna bring breath into it because that, again, bringing fresh oxygen to the muscle, telling the muscle, hey, you don't have to fire as much, it's all good. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work now more the sides. So from the hip bone down to the knee, you have that IT band, ischial-tibial tuberosity, because it's going from your ischium of your sit bone down to your tibia of your knee. A long line of connective tissue. Now this one, whew, you can definitely feel this one. So I'm gonna go down a little bit because I don't feel it as much in the hip. I'm just gonna find that, yep, for me it's right there. And it's right on the edge of like my quad muscle and my IT band. So right where that muscle fascia connects to that IT band. Whoo, yeah. And you know what? If it's too much, again, I could really lean into it. I can like almost balance and do this. That intensifies it, okay? So again, I'm letting gravity and putting all the pressure on one point of my body as I'm balancing. If that's too much, come up and just reduce the pressure. Okay, so more parts of your body on the ground, that's gonna reduce the pressure. And that's really starting to release for me. So I'm gonna go down a little bit, find a new point, and just kind of work, and like, don't be afraid to move your body. So for me, actually, I'm feeling it more on the quad. So I did the back side, I did the side. Again, 20 seconds minimum at each point, okay? Now, I can come to more the front side at the quad. So this one, you can go up higher. And my other leg, you can see, is bent here. So we're gonna, and this one might be easier to use like a lacrosse ball, but I find this works for me. So I'm right on my hip flexor. Whoo, and I can feel that. So I'm not quite to the quad, but I'm in the hip flexor. And again, I'm just leaning my body, leaning. I can lift up my leg, right? But I can feel that in my hip flexor. And this is gonna be big, because if you're sitting, right, those hip flexors that attach into your hips, and you have hip flexors that go from your hips actually to your T12 area. If you're sitting, you're actually contracting those, and so we want to open those up, okay? And that's really starting to release. Again, big, deep belly breaths. And just really feel that. And again, you're not going to feel the release as quickly if you've never done this before. I try to do foam rolling every day. I'm not always the greatest at it, but at least 3 or 4 times a week, especially after I run, especially after I'm active, right? This is really good to do right after run. Now you can even come more inside. So inner glute or inner thigh, your adductors. Mine aren't as bad. If I go down a little bit, yeah, it's not too bad. The more you do this, you're gonna notice a difference. If I go back to my quad, if I come down, whew, yeah, right in the center of the quad. I can feel that. But again, it's almost, you know, it's gonna feel a little bit painful because we're working with tense muscles. But again, I just find that point and I slowly roll on it, 20 seconds, working my way down. Oh man, yeah, I can really feel it in that quad. Woo! And if it's too much, like just back off for a second, take a break, and get back into it, okay? So I've done one side. Now there's other, you know, all different areas. Fascia is something that connects all the musculature tissue, and it spreads all throughout the body. So I have some people, if they're having trouble breathing, they can work on the diaphragm and the rib cage. So that one might be more sensitive, but you can kind of feel it through that side body. It actually feels really good. Just kind of like lay over that connective tissue that wraps around our thoracic cavity. Feels really good. Another thing that I encourage people to do is to do a lot of heart openers, because again, we're in such a rounded posture, sitting a lot in our culture. So another thing you can do with your foam roller is get up on here and just kind of lean back. So I have the base of the foam roller on my sacrum. I'm just leaning like this. My palms are out wide, you can see they're face up. And just really opening up that chest. So that feels really good on my body. And actually, it's nice with these longer foam rollers. I can put the top of it, actually at the base of my occiput, the base of my skull, and just kind of distract. Again, just some at-home strategies. I'm going to get off here. Just some at-home strategies that you can start to focus on to really start to shift your body, shift tension in your body, become more aware, and treat your body like a temple. That's what it comes down to. So if you have any questions or any tips that you want in this, comment below, reach out to me. I'm glad to help. Again, getting yourself a foam roller, making sure you're breathing. It's not about rolling necessarily, but finding the area and ease into it, lean into it, and let that use gravity to your advantage. So I hope you found value in this video. Comment below how this is working for you. I'm happy to help, and I'll see you next time.